Hey, I believe we are live. And I see Vamsi joined me, and I was really hoping that she would be able to do that. Let me get this screen set up here. And let's see. So, Vamsi, I'm glad to see you. And Cinderella, I am so glad to see you too. I want you to know you and Vamsi are the reasons why I am hosting this show tonight, because it's because of the two of you that said you need to do a live show so that I can talk to you and ask you questions. So I'm going to go ahead and give the greeting, and then we are going to get started. So what's the difference between a homemaker and a housewife? Between homemaking and homekeeping? I will address those questions and more on tonight's episode of TNT Live, where I share my journey to becoming a traditional homemaker. If you're new to my channel, I'm Denise Jordan, and I've been a traditional homemaker for more than 45 years. However, that role has evolved over time. When I first started out, I was a new bride. Our family, in the form of twins, shall I say, came early, and I was home taking care of them, taking care of our little apartment, and it was a tiny little apartment, and my husband, and I fit myself in where I could, somewhere way at the bottom of the list. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew just a little bit about my journey, and then we will talk a little bit about what's the difference between a homemaker and a housewife. And I'll show you what I found on a website, and then we'll talk about that definition. So let me share my screen. And then we will have some conversation about that. So here's the definition that I found, and I thought it was quite interesting. This was from like some kind of a dictionary, the stock exchange or whatever, but it says that a housewife is a married woman, and typically a housewife is someone who is married, and usually it's a woman, and her main occupation is caring for her family, managing household affairs, and doing housework. And you're looking at the traditional division of labor between the husband as a breadwinner and then the wife as the housewife or the homemaker. And then you have the other word, which we hear mostly today as being a homemaker. And I thought it was interesting that it was chiefly used in North America, but it's a person, especially a woman, who manages a home. But the homemaker doesn't have to be a woman and doesn't have to be a wife. So now let me stop sharing this. And I'm going to come back over so that I can see all of you guys. And then I'll do a little bit of greeting to those who are here. So let's see. I have got Taki Love. She said she really wanted to watch, but it's late in London. So she got up to wake up early, so she'll rewatch. Okay, Taki, if you have a question, drop it in the comment section so that I can, or in the chat so that I can be sure to answer it. And let's see. Vamsi is on, and she is one of my subscribers who always wants to know, like, when are you going to go live again? And so I planned this live session particularly for Vamsi and for Cinderella, because those two have been asking me to do this live stream. And so, Cinderella, I am doing just fine tonight. I'm just a little nervous tonight, and I don't know why. I mean, I do live streams all the time, but I'm just a little nervous tonight. And then, let's see, Blue Skies is talking to Taki, so I'll just let her do that. And then At Home with Sherry, she said she was so excited because my channel was recommended to her. So, Sherry, I'm so glad that you found me. And Miss Congeniality. Wait a minute. No, this is Flora Swinney. Good evening, Flora. I'm glad to have you here with me as well. And then Miss Congeniality. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you were able to jump on. And then we've got Audrey Hertz. And Audrey, I saw you left me a question. Stephanie Fretz, and then Danita. They're all saying hello. And then Jen H is on as well. So she's greeting me. And then we've got Odessa Menifee. And Fancy Schmancy is on. I just love her name, Fancy Schmancy. And let's see who else. Oh, and then Style with Stacy is on as well. So it's good to have all you guys with us. So, okay, let me go ahead and just jump right into things. And I already gave the real quick definition of what I found online as the difference between a homemaker and a housewife. So your housewife typically is someone who is married, and the homemaker can be anyone that is making a home. And the housewife's typical range of responsibilities includes taking care of the home, that kind of thing, and often does not work outside the home. So there's that. So I just thought that definition was fairly interesting. So one of the questions that I was asked was, what did I wish I knew as a young homemaker? And when I was a young homemaker, I wish I had known the importance of creating routines to manage my home. I just didn't have a clue. And I will admit that when I was a child, that my mom wasn't the best homemaker from the perspective of um, being a good housekeeper, keeping the house neat and clean, that kind of thing. There were 6 of us, and so she was a little bit overwhelmed. So there were things that sometimes went by the wayside. But as a homemaker, there were things that she did to create a home, to make it cozy and comfortable for us. But having routines for things that she did was not one of them. So as a young homemaker, I wish I had known the benefit of creating routines for my home. And Audrey Hertz, who is on with us tonight, let me find Audrey's name. Well, she's in there somewhere. Well, this is her name. I'll just put it here. This is her name, and she asked that very question, like, what would I say to a young homemaker just starting out? And what I would say would be to create a routine for your home. Now, what does that mean? That means create a set of circumstances, a series of days as to when you are going to do what and when. For example, I followed the Fly Lady Clean process. I wish I had learned about that method much sooner, but I'm glad that I found it when I did. So on that process, we have a series of routines that help us manage our homes. We have daily routines, we have weekly routines, and we have zone cleaning routines, which help us to manage things. So what is the daily routine? Well, the daily routine, first of all, there's one daily routine which you do every single day, and that includes your daily swish and swipe, where you swipe the sinks down in the bathroom, swipe the mirrors down, and then you swish the toilet. Every single day, Sunday through Saturday, you do your daily swish and swipe. The other daily routines include, on Monday is the weekly home blessing, where there are a series of tasks that you do to bless your home. You strip your beds and throw the linen in the wash. You sweep all the floors and you mop all the floors, or you vacuum, whichever you have in your home, in the main traffic patterns, not the whole entire floor in the room, but just in the main traffic pattern, just trying to keep things up. And you clean your mirrors and you do a light dusting, that kind of thing. It's a home blessing. And oh my goodness, junk drawer mom jumped on. I am so glad to see you. I needed to have called you, and I apologize for not having done that, but I am so glad that you jumped on with me tonight. What I'm doing right now is just telling people about what I think would be helpful in creating a daily routine. And I know that's one of the things that we talked about, but certainly creating the routine daily would be helpful. The other thing, in addition to not only creating the routine, but would be to write the routine down and have it accessible. So one of the things that we do in the Fly Lady system is we create what's known as a control journal. And so in the journal, you put like what you have down in your morning routine. So as far as the daily routines, you have a morning routine, you have an after dinner routine, you have a before bed routine, that kind of thing. And so in the morning routine, you put all those different things you need to do in the morning. And then your after dinner routine includes things you need to do after dinner. And part of that morning routine includes not only making breakfast, either for yourself or for your family, but then also the after breakfast cleanup, doing a clutter check after breakfast, and then anything else that you might have on the list, and of course start your laundry, that kind of thing. So those are the things that you would include with that daily routine. And then you have your weekly routine. So what's on the weekly routine? Well, like I said, Monday is the weekly home blessing. Tuesday is free day, but you're still doing your daily swish and swipe. Wednesday is your desk day or your plan day, where you plan your meals for the next week. You pay your bills. You pay your bills, you order, you make your grocery list, and you clean out your refrigerator, because Thursday is errand day. On errand day, you go out and you buy groceries, or you place a grocery order, or you arrange for a pickup or delivery or whatever. But so you get the fridge cleaned on Wednesday, so on Thursday, you're ready to receive your groceries. On Friday, it's your car and purse day. You clean out your car and purse. And if you're a mom, you know how dirty your car can get when you have little kids in it and different things like that. And then, of course, our purse always has thousands of little minions that ends up in there, tissue and wrappers and different things like that. Friday, so I mentioned Friday was car and purse day. And then Saturday, and also Friday is date night. So that's the night you spend some time with your significant other. Saturday is family fun day. And then you do some things with the family. Sunday is renew your spirit. Now, if you're working outside of the home, you may not be able to get all these things done during the day. But one thing I would certainly encourage that new young homemaker to do is a load of laundry every day. Do a load of laundry every day, and it keeps Mount Watchmore away. That's the Fly Lady saying. But again, do that laundry every day so that you don't end up with all that laundry to do. And when it gets piles up so much, it's overwhelming. And then you don't want to face it. And keep it in mind that the laundry is not done until it's folded and put away. So now let's see if we've got a couple of questions here as I'm going through. Yeah, there's Audrey Hertz right there. So it's her question that I was answering about, what I would say to a young homemaker just getting started. And then I've got Rachel Knight here all the way from Hawaii. Hey, Rachel, it's good to have you with me tonight. And Odessa Menifee, good to have you here as well. I already spoke to Fancy Schmancy. And Stacy. Margaret Schaefer, thank you so much for saying that I have a nice, warm voice. I appreciate that. So now Daluzu says that she enjoys being a homemaker, and it's 4 a.m. in Nairobi. Oh my goodness, it's 4 a.m. in Nairobi, and she chose to spend this time with us. I am so appreciative. So thank you very much for doing that. And I don't know who that is. Let's see. Anonymous Informer says something about having hardwood floor and living somewhere where they have carpet that they vacuum. So they're talking to each other. So Sherry said she signed up for Fly Lady but hasn't started yet. So Sherry, what does that mean? You signed up for Fly Lady but haven't started yet. Does that mean you signed up to mentor with her, but your meetings are coming up, or you haven't started watching her videos yet? And the Fly Lady that I like best is Fly Lady Cat. She is the best, and her channel is called A Better Life with Kat, and she can help you learn to get your house under control. So this is the one that I like best. So Blue Sky says that a load a day has truly been a great help for her. And it really is a good help when you do that one load a day every day, because then you don't get overwhelmed. And you can always put away one load of laundry. But when it gets to be 3, 4, and 5, then it gets overwhelming, and then it's a little daunting. So, Anonymous Informer says he has Mount Rushmore daily with 5 people. Well, okay, so you got 5 people. So then one load a day might not work for you. You might need to do 2 loads a day. But 2 loads a day, if you do 2 loads a day, Monday through Friday, you should definitely be able to get all of your laundry done and then be able to have some time for the weekend. If you need to do laundry on Saturday, then 2 loads a day, Monday through Saturday, should be enough to get your laundry under control. If not, I would add another day, another load on one of the days so that you're not spending Sunday doing laundry. So Star Bell says, do I have any suggestions for papers? That's her biggest problem. And yes, I do. And I'm going to tell you, I learned my paper solution from Fly Lady Cat. What she says you do for paper is 1 inch of paper a day. That's what you do, 1 inch of paper a day. And then based upon that, you might have this much paper or more. But if you work on 1 inch of paper a day, you can get it tackled pretty quickly. And you do that 1 inch of paper with your morning routine. So now let me back up a little bit, because I don't think I finished talking about what I do with that morning routine. So when I'm doing my morning routine, I get up, I get dressed, and typically the first thing I do in the morning is I will do my yoga, because if I don't get the yoga done first thing in the morning, it's not happening. So I get up, I put on yoga clothes, I go downstairs and I do yoga in my living room. Then I go into the kitchen and wash my hands, of course. Then I go into the kitchen and then I unload the dishwasher. So part of my after dinner routine is loading the dishwasher and making sure I set it to run before I go to bed. So when I come down in the morning, I can unload the dishwasher, get the dishes put away, and then the dishwasher is ready to receive dirty dishes throughout the day. So you have 2 options. Wash up the breakfast dishes after breakfast, or rinse them off and set them in the dishwasher. It's your choice. If you don't have time to wash them right then, sometimes I've heard people say they take a small dish pan and they rinse off the dishes, put them in the dish pan, and set that underneath the kitchen sink, like in the cabinet under the sink, so it's not out on display and they've still got a clean sink, that kind of thing. So then once I put away the dishes, I throw in a load of laundry. So I'll either bring that load down when I come down to do the yoga, and then I'll throw it in once the yoga's done, or I might throw it in before I start the yoga. But either way, I'm throwing that load in first thing in the morning. And so once I'm done unloading the dishwasher, I've had my breakfast, I've had my coffee, and then I'll go and start doing whatever task it is that I have for the day, which includes the 1 inch of paper. So maybe you might have a little tray that you have that 1 inch of paper in, or a stack. You just bring it down into the kitchen area somewhere where you can sit and work, and you work on that 1 inch of paper. Well, what do you do with it? Well, you might have 3 little baskets to put it in for that 1 inch of paper. Some of it is going to be paper that you can just throw away or shred. So if you're going to pitch it, put it in the throwaway pile, either drop it in the trash or set it off somewhere for you to shred it. If it's something you have to deal with, like you have to make a call, file it, or something like that, then you put it into your to-do pile and you tackle it on your desk day or your planning day, which is Wednesday. And if it's something that you need to file or put away, then you put it in your file basket. And then on Wednesday, when you do your planning day, that's when you actually file it and pay your bills and that kind of thing. But if it's clutter, then you're going to pitch it. And one of the things that I've learned to do, and my husband is really good at now, is when he brings the mail in, if it's junk mail, it just goes right into the trash. He doesn't even put it on the table or on the counter or anywhere where it needs to go. So that's how you can handle clutter. Okay, let me back up because I'm missing some questions now. Okay. So I just talked about the suggestions for paper. So the 1 inch of paper every day, and again, you're gonna go through the pile every day as part of your morning routine when you're working in your kitchen. But what you're gonna do with it is part of it's gonna go in the trash or the shredder. Part of it's going to go into a to-do or action file, which you're going to put with the stuff for your planning, and you're going to address it on your planning or desk day. And then the other one for your put away, you're also going to put that away or file it on your desk day. So Audrey said she wishes she could do laundry daily, but she lives in an apartment, has to, okay, I get that. So if you live in an apartment and you've got to take your laundry out to the laundromat, then a load a day is not going to work for you. That means you're going to have to do laundry every Saturday. But that means that if you can throughout the week, then try to get some of those household tasks that for those of you that work outside the home that you might leave for the weekend, try to get some of those things done during the week so that on Saturday you can go to the laundromat. You want to get there bright and early so that you can, get as many washers as you need to use so you can get those loads sorted out and in the wash, and then get them done and then get home in a timely fashion, because nobody wants to spend all day in the laundromat. Trust me, I've had to go to the laundromat in my life, so I know what it's like. I'm going to have a little sip of water here. Okay, so let's see. So I hope that's helpful, Audrey. So again, and then when you go to the laundromat, like I said, you've got your loads of baskets with you. If you've got someone that can go and help you, take them along to help, and then get them all in, get them out. And then when you go home, it is so important when you get home to get those clothes put away, because you're going to fold them while you're sitting there at the laundromat, because there's no reason not to. Get them folded up, put them in the baskets, get home, get them put away, and you can sit down and have a nice cup of coffee or tea or even a little sip of wine to help yourself unwind and relax. So Sherry said she signed up on the website and she was supposed to get daily messages. Sherry, when did you sign up? And you have to make sure you sent your information to her. But if you're not getting the information back that you thought you should, then send another message and let her know that you're missing it, that you're missing messages from her. But if you just signed up this week, her mother died, and so she's going to be a little bit out of sync this week. So I'm not sure what's going to go on next week. At home with Sherry said she needs a mentor. She's out of control. Sherry, what you can do again is I would listen to Fly Lady Cat, listen to her videos. She's got videos up all the time, and you can learn about the Fly Lady system there, and it can help you get started. Even if you decide that you don't want to use that method, it'll give you enough information and enough motivation to help you begin to make a plan for your own home. And there are other cleaning mentors on YouTube that you can probably find that can help you create a plan for your home. And I think one of the things that I'm going to do is create a series of videos that talk about, how I do my daily routines and things like that to kind of help people see what I do. Okay. Jordan T says she's just joining the chat. Did you learn homemaking skills from your own mother? Yes and no. For the most part, what I learned, I learned how to clean a house, but I really learned how to clean from my dad. My dad could sweep a floor, he could mop a floor. But when we were home, though, and as you can tell from looking at me, I'm old school. I'm a woman of a certain age. Like I said, I've been married more than 45 years. So I did learn how to manage a home from my mom. By the time I was in high school, I could run a house. Me and my next sister, we could run the whole house. So I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I learned how to do all those things from her. So yes, I did learn those skills from my mom. And the one thing about when you're growing up, you also learn what you want to do, and you also learn what you don't want to do. So this is kind of a funny story, but when I was growing up, we kids, and there were 6 of us, we had to eat in the kitchen, and mom and dad ate in the dining room. And I thought, when I grow up, we're going to all eat together. Because I'm thinking, here we are in the kitchen, and they're in the dining room. Well, what I now realize is they were probably having a peace, just trying to have a moment of peace and quiet without 6 kids making a whole bunch of noise, that kind of thing. But what I took from that growing up was when I grow up, we're going to all eat together. So that was how I ran my home. We all had dinner together between 5 and 5:30 every evening. We sat down for the table to dinner as a family. And when I was growing up at home, I felt like none of our dishes or glasses matched. And then we also had those Melmac dishes, which were very popular at the time. I realize that now, but I didn't like them. And then I didn't like drinking out of jelly jars and different things like that. So I was like, when I grow up, all of my dishes are going to match, all of my silverware, everything is going to match, that kind of thing. And so that was what I did when I started my home. When I had my home, we had all of our flatware matched. I would set the table for every meal, with the knife, the fork, the spoon, the glass, the napkin. And then when we got a little bit more money, either we had a tablecloth on the table with a placemat and that kind of thing. So those were things that I wanted to do in my home. And I got some of that information from, like from what I watched happen at my home, from some of the influences of television. Because remember, when I was growing up, my mom was one of those 1950s housewives, and Leave It to Beaver was on, and we saw what the TV images were like, that kind of thing. And I remember one of my daughter's boyfriends always called us a TV family because we ate together and, different things like that. But yes, I did learn homemaking skills from my mom. I learned how to iron, how to cook, how to clean, that kind of thing. So yes. So Rachel said she's going to start over with Fly Lady. She signed up for emails over 7 years ago, and she'll do that after dinner tonight. Which Fly Lady did you sign up with? Did you sign up with Fly Lady Cat, or did you sign up with the Marla Silly, who is the Fly Lady, like the big Fly Lady? Because if you signed up with her and you're not getting her email, something's wrong. Because I get about 30 emails a day from the original Fly Lady. Okay. So Rachel says she's in the dark depths of parenting, sick, poor, and loss of strength. She can barely do the minimum. Oh my goodness. Have you ever dealt with mom guilt when you can't home make? Oh yeah. Not only have I dealt with mom guilt because, I'm a professional woman. So I started out as a homemaker. I was home with the twins, but I was also a college student. So once my husband was a college student. So once we graduated school and the kids were, a little older, I went to work. And then when we had our next child, I was home with the kids, that kind of thing. But then when I was back at work in a particular job that I had, we had to go to graduate school because we had to work on an advanced degree. I felt so guilty being at work all day and then having to drive, 100 miles, or not 100 miles, but 50 miles to go to graduate school. So my husband was left with the kids a lot. So what did he fix for dinner? Well, they had a lot of pizza. They had a lot of KFC. They had a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches, those kind of things. Not the kind of meals that I would have cooked if I was home. And they started to act out. I felt so guilty because I was not home managing the things that I know that I needed to do. And a couple of times, my daughter would make comments about mommy not being home. So yes, I have felt the mom guilt. But here's the thing, Rachel. If you're sick and you're dealing with loss of strength for yourself, then that means you need some help because you can't give to someone else if you're not healthy. So what kind of help can you get in? Do you have a relative that can come in and help you just a little bit until you're stronger? And then here's the thing. If you're sick and your house is a mess, let the house be a mess because it'll be there once you're better. One thing that I did learn is that you'll have a house to clean when the babies are grown and married and they've got their own families. You'll still have a house to clean. So right now, the priority is you and your children. And if you've got a husband or a significant other, them. Let him or her assist you in any way they can, but you take care of you. You try to recover the strength that you need, making sure you're getting the medical attention you need, and then the help from your significant other, if there's someone there available to do that. And then, on the days that you just, really can't do much, make sure your child has nutritious meals. And if you need to sit him there on the side of the bed while you lay there and play with you and talk to you, or you read him a story, fine. But you have to do the best you can do and try not to feel guilty about that, because you can only do what you can do. Oh, Jordan, now this is really interesting. So what is the favorite homemaking or cooking tip that has been passed down from the women in your family? My mom said, I'm only going to give you one piece of advice. And she gave that piece of advice to all of us girls. And I have passed that on to all the young brides that I know. So I'm going to share that with you guys now. She said, don't start anything you don't intend to keep up the rest of your life. Now, that may sound a little funny, but don't start anything you don't intend to keep up the rest of your life. So what does that mean? That means don't start habits that you don't plan to continue. Because once you get your husband, your significant other used to certain things, they become to expect that. And then when you don't do those things, they're like, okay, so what's wrong with you? You're not doing thus and such. And let me tell you guys something funny. So I'm retired now, so I'm home all the time. So I'm definitely a traditional homemaker now. I take care of the house, and we're pretty much old school, and we've always been that way. As when we were young homemakers, we began to have that, that little bit of merging of male and female roles, because, when we were married, you start to see men start to do more and women were working more and that kind of thing. So there was more of a transition, a gradual transition. But now that we're home and I'm retired and I'm home all day, I pretty much taken back those traditional roles of the homemaker. And he still does those traditional roles that the guys would do, all the outside stuff. And when I grew up, all the guys did were they mopped the floors and they took out the trash. Now, that was a big point of contention with me and my sisters. Like, all my brothers got to do is take out the trash and mop the floors, whereas we had to learn how to clean the house and cook and do all that kind of stuff. Now, my brother did learn how to cook, but he only cooked occasionally, whereas we girls cooked all the time. So now, to give you a funny story, though, about this, don't start anything. So he was having a little trouble with his stomach. So I found this tea by Yogi called digestive support or digestive awakening or something like that. And so it was blackberry and apple cider tea. And so I started making him a cup of tea every morning, and I would bring it upstairs, and he'd be in his studio working, and I would bring him a cup of tea. And he was just like, oh, well, thank you, babe. He was really enjoying that. Well, one day, I don't know what I was doing, but I got busy, and it was really late when I brought it up. He goes, looking at his watch like, oh, you're late today. I'm like, I just know you did not look at your watch. And then we both had a good laugh about it. But I've gotten him accustomed to me bringing him a cup of tea every morning. So now he expects that. Now, it's not real inconvenient for me to do that. And I feel like he has earned that service from me. So I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing that for him. All right. All right, so Anonymous Informer says that they do 2 or 3 loads every other day as a minimum. Yeah, if you've got 5 in the family, it can tend to be more. There's just 2 of us here now, so if I do laundry Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I do 1 load a day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Sometimes 2 loads, usually on Monday. I'm done by Wednesday. It's rare that I have laundry more than 3 days to do. So Fancy Schmancy wants to know, how did I come up with my cleaning schedule? And I'll tell you, I came up with my cleaning schedule through the help with the Fly Lady cleaning system. So like I said, I sat down and I thought about what are all the things that I need to have done in the house. So for example, I looked at the kitchen And I looked at all the things that need to get done in the kitchen, and I made a list of those. And then all the things that need to be done in the living room, I made a list of those. And in the bathrooms, I made a list of those. And then when we're doing zone cleaning, when we're doing zone cleaning, you pick 4 things in the zone that week that you want to do. So for example, this is week 2, I believe, on the Fly Lady cleaning system. So week 2 always starts with, the first day of the week in whatever month it is. So I think February 7th was the first day of the week. And so that's the first full week. So that's week 2. So that's the kitchen. So I picked 4 things that I wanted to do in the kitchen. I wanted to clean the microwave. I wanted to organize the dish pantry. I wanted to declutter the cup and glass pantry. And if you missed the video where I decluttered my cups and glasses, I'll link that in the description box below so that you can check that out. But I did that. So, you write down the 4 things that you want to do. You put them in your planner. And then those are the 4 things you do for your zone cleaning that week. And even if you're working outside the home, typically you can still get those things done. So Fancy, as I was sharing with them earlier, and you might have missed it, the Fly Lady has set up a series of tasks that you do on each day. And in your weekly cleaning, Sunday is you just do your daily swish and swipe, which is, your toilet, your bathroom sink, and the mirror. And then, it's renew your spirit. On Monday is your weekly home blessing. And there's a series of things you do on that day, which includes dusting and that kind of thing. On Tuesday is your free day, but you can switch the free day from Tuesday to Wednesday if you choose. So on Tuesday, all I do is my daily swish and swipe, and I don't do my zone cleaning on Tuesday because that's my free day. Wednesday is your plan and desk day, as I mentioned. And then Thursday, errand day. And Friday, car and purse day. Saturday is family fun day. So that's how I came up with that. When I was younger, I didn't have that routine. So my house was pretty much a mess frequently. And like many of you guys, we're busy young parents. When I was in high school, didn't do a lot of outside things. I was on the yearbook club at school. I was in the band and the school newspaper. I did those school clubs, and then I came home. Whereas when my kids were young, both the boys were in sports every night after school. My daughter was a cheerleader, so she was always busy. I'm driving back and forth to pick them up and for school for cheerleading camp, basketball camp, soccer camp, all of that. I mean, you're a taxi driver pretty much when you're a mom. So I'd get off work and have to run all around, those kinds of things. And my husband was coaching. So that meant that a lot of the home responsibilities fell on me. So I didn't always have time to clean as much as I would like. And when I got home from work, I was exhausted. So I didn't know to form a routine and, kind of do some of the things that I know now. Life would have been so much simpler if I would have created those routines much sooner. And even if they weren't the routines that I now use with the Fly Lady system, one of the YouTubers that I like to follow is Jennifer Scott at the Daily Connoisseur. And one day she did a series on the homemaking lessons that she learned from Little House on the Prairie. And I'll link that series below, her channel below, so that you guys can check it out. But it was so interesting because she talked about how Ma did baking on one day and she did laundry on another day and she did cleaning on another day or whatever. And if you think back to maybe when your parents or grandparents were younger, or if they talked about what they did back in the day, they might have had certain days where they did certain things. And as a result of that, the work got done. And I didn't form that habit. But I remember I had one friend who said, I refuse to spend my weekend cleaning the house and doing laundry. I just refused to. So she got all her stuff done during the week. So on the weekends, she could relax. And as a nurse, you might have to work every weekend, or I think my first job, I got every 3rd weekend off. And so if you've got one weekend off in 3, you certainly don't want to spend it cleaning all day. So there's that. So I wish I had come up with that cleaning schedule sooner, but I've come up with it now as a result of the work that I've done with the Fly Lady method. And then I also tweaked it just a little bit to make it work for me. So is that helpful? Is that helpful? Let me know. Um, okay, let me just back up for a second. Oh, Crafty Kitty is on. Hey, Hey, Kitty. Okay, let's see. Oh, D Lovely Life is on. Thank you, D. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And then Dalutsu said her children generate a lot of dishes. She finds that dishes takes a lot of time during the day. And Dalutsu, I know you wash your dishes by hand because I've seen one of your videos. So I know you do wash your dishes by hand. I am not one who likes paper plates, even though my husband does. So you said they generate a lot of dishes. So you know what you might consider doing is either rinsing the dishes and setting them aside in a dish pan and waiting until the end of the day to wash them. Or you might just have to just kind of get them washed up as you go along, because depending upon where you live, and I think you live in a very warm area, it might attract more bugs if you don't like get them washed up pretty quickly. So I don't know if you can just maybe like limit them to the number of glasses they use. Because I know when my kids were little, they were always getting a new glass for a drink of water or a drink of Kool-Aid or whatever. And so I would have them take one glass out, and put it in a certain place, rinse it out, and they would use that one, or get out a paper cup and write their name on it and keep using that one several times during the day. Otherwise, you can get a little bit overwhelmed with dishes. And I don't know how many separate pieces of dishware you feel the need to use on your table. I know it is different in different cultures. My husband says I'm always getting out 1,000 dishes, but when he's cooking or setting the table, he doesn't typically get out as many as I do. But I might want to have, you've got a plate for dinner. I might want to have a plate for dessert or for bread or something like that. And then you've got your glass. And we typically just have one glass on the table for water or lemonade or whatever it is you're drinking. But if we need something else, I can get a second one and just 3 pieces of flatware. But if your kids are generating a lot of dishes, how old are they? And can they assist you with some of that dishwashing? That's the question. So now Sherry said, maybe I haven't finished the process correctly. Thank you. So now, Sherry, I know you are a Fly Lady Cat mentor or mentee if you're saying finish the process, because Fly Lady Cat is always talking about finishing the process. Now, what does that mean? That means once you get it started, you got to get it taken care of. So like if I'm doing laundry, the process isn't finished until the laundry is washed, dried, and put away. That's what she means by finish the process. Get it done. If I'm doing dishes and I'm doing dishes by hand, then I'm going to wash them. Then I'm going to rinse them, and I'm either going to put them in a rack to let them dry by the sink, or I'm going to dry them and get them put away. So that's what we mean. If you're cleaning a room, you get all the different little pieces done. But yeah, you got to finish the process. I think I got Rachel's question. If there was another one, Blue Skies, let me know. So Fancy said she would like more information about how I create routines or how I implement the routines from the Fly Lady. So what I do is, like I said, first thing in the morning when I get up, I put my yoga clothes on. And typically my yoga clothes will be over there at the end of the sofa. I took them out of the room so you guys wouldn't see them. I got an apron hanging up there right now. But typically I'd have my yoga clothes there. I get up first thing in the morning and I put on my yoga clothes. I go downstairs and then I do my yoga. Once I'm done with my yoga, I should, if I was going to follow the process strictly, I would come upstairs, take a shower, get dressed to shoes, and then I would start my other tasks. But for me, I feel like I'm already dressed. I've got on my yoga clothes and I don't have on shoes because I don't wear shoes when I do yoga, but I will put on some slippers. So now that I'm already downstairs and I'm already dressed, I've done my yoga, I hang up my husband's coat because there's always a coat laying on the chair. So I'll hang up his chair, put it in the closet, and then I go into the kitchen and then I unload the dishwasher and I'll turn on the coffee pot. And if I didn't bring the load of laundry down with me when I came down to do my yoga, I'll go back upstairs and I'll make the bed, because that's one of the big things with the Fly Lady cleaning system is you have to make the bed every day. I'll make the bed. And because he might have been in it still when I got up. Sometimes he'll make the bed, or if I come up and start making it, then he'll help me make the bed. So then we'll get the bed made, and then I'll grab the laundry, get it sorted out, and I'll take the load downstairs that I'm going to do. When he was working and he just quit his job because of COVID, he had to wear white shirts every day to work. So on Monday for the weekly home blessing, I would strip the bed, and then I would wash those sheets and things. And then when those came out, I would put in a load of white shirts. And these are just like white shirts. Nothing else went in the load with those. And I would take care of those, get them done, put away, get the bed remade, that kind of thing. If it's not a day that I'm stripping the bed, then we're just going to make the bed. And so then I do my thing in the kitchen. So breakfast, laundry, that kind of thing. I do my 4 clutter checks. And that was what I struggled with the most, is those clutter checks, because as soon as I'm done in the kitchen, I want to move on to something else. But what I've learned is there are certain hot spots in my kitchen and the dining room that I want to just kind of drop things on, or other family members. Well, there's only 2 of us here, so me or him want to drop things on now. But when the kids are here, they will still put things in these same little places. So now I am learning, okay, you got the dishes put away, you got the table cleaned off, breakfast is all cleaned up. Now look around. Look at those hot spots. Is there anything where it shouldn't be? And then get those things out and put them away right then. So now that piece is done. And then dependent upon what else I've got to do. So then I'll go and get my daily swish and swipe in the bathrooms every day. So that, let's say there's a day that, like Rachel, that I don't feel well, or like, well, as one of the other people said, I don't feel well, then what I can do, I can just skip that day, because there's no behind. You just skip that day. Because if you keep it up every day, it's not so bad that, okay, one day I can let it go and I can take care of it tomorrow. So does that help, Fancy? That's the morning routine. And then for each day, I just do a different things. And like I said, for the zone cleaning, this week I'm in the kitchen. So microwave, the 2 different cabinets that I wanted to clean out. And then there was another thing that I had picked to do. I can't remember now what it was, but I wrote those things in my planner. So, and my planner is not up here. I got my control journal up here. Oh, wait, here it is. It's in my purse. Okay. And I could just show you a little bit how I plan that. So like you can just kind of see here. So I'll put, like, here's my planner, just kind of grossly. And then like on one side, I'll put, wait a minute. Okay. One side, I'll put things that I'm going to do for the house. Like here's zone 1 up at the top, and then weekly home blessing or whatever. And then on the other side, I'll have other tasks that I want to get done. So that's part of how I stay on top of my routines and things like that. So yeah, that's how I do that. So, C Love said she's a new homemaker, left her job to stay at home. And you know, Love, I am glad that you were able to do that. And there are so many women today who would love to be able to stay home and manage their homes. Excuse me. And that's great if you're able to do that. But all women are not. And even if you choose not to stay home and you choose to work and manage your home from, you know, you've got a job and you've got a family, that's okay too. When I was just, you know, getting out of the home and going to college and just kind of getting started, there was this transition or this revolution where women were able to really have more careers and move outside the home and work outside the home if they chose to. They didn't have to, but if they chose to. Then again, many of them did have to based upon circumstances or something like that. So um, there was always this kind of angst, this kind of ouchiness between, those that chose to stay home and those who chose to go out to work. And, the feminist movement was just getting started. And the feminist movement of that time, because of course there were movement before when they were working for the vote and all that kind of thing, but the feminist movement was just getting started. And they were talking about equal work for equal pay and those kinds of things. So all of that was getting started. So sometimes women were really hard on one another. Women would say, you're being a sellout because you're staying at home when you can go out to work. And some women were saying, you're being a sellout. You're making it hard on us who want to stay home and manage our families and that kind of thing. Whereas today, I've been looking at some of the conversations between some of the young homemakers on TV, and they are still fighting that same battle. We as women are still coming against one another and trying to, and some of them are trying to throw shade on those who choose to stay home and those who choose to go out to work. And really, it's a choice that you can make. And as long as it works for you and your family, then hey, make that choice. So if you were able to leave your job to stay home and manage your family, I am very happy for you. But now let me tell you this. If you think it's going to be all days of sunshine and blue skies and just endless play dates, it's not going to be that way. There are going to be days when you just yearn to be able to talk to someone who is above the age of 3 and who can carry on a conversation. And you will be so tired of looking at, whatever children's programming is on. But then there will be those days where you are so happy that you made that decision, that when you're there to watch that baby take those first steps, when you're home and you've made treats and you put cupcakes on the table, and you hear the kids coming up the walk, and one of them looks in the window and says, "Hey, Jill, you better come and get your treat," because he can see the cupcakes that mom had set on the table. There's just so much joy that comes from being a stay-at-home mom. But then there's also a lot of other stuff that can't go along with it. And you have to find that balance. You have to make sure that you are caring for yourself, just like you cared for yourself before you became a homemaker. Because, like they say, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. You've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself and you're keeping yourself healthy and vital and knowledgeable. Now, what do I mean knowledgeable? You still need to be able to carry on a conversation with your husband or your significant other about things that are going on in the outside world. So you still want to make sure that you stay on top of what's going on in the world. You still want to make sure you're reading things besides homemaking. And speaking of that, here are 2 books that I really like. This one is called Home Comforts, the Art and Science of Keeping Home. And I always talk about homemaking being an art and a science. And actually, I wrote my own philosophy of homemaking, and that just comes from, my background in nursing, and we'd have to write a philosophy for nursing for our graduate program or whatever. But when I found this book and she had the art and science of homekeeping, I was like, oh, that's exactly the way I look at it. So I would encourage you to get something like this to help you plan and manage your home. Now, something that's just a little bit more modern, because this one, is a little bit old school, is this one by Martha Stewart. And it is called the Homekeeping Handbook. And I will link both of those in the description box. They're not down there yet because I didn't think to do that. But I will link them both in the description box. And they both give you information about how to manage a home, how to keep a home. And since we're talking to a new stay-at-home person, new stay-at-home mom, or it could just be a new stay-at-home wife. Because right now I'm seeing there's a trend where there's these young brides are getting married and they're deciding to be a housewife and not go out to work. And that's okay too, if it works for them and their husband. So, and we shouldn't throw shade on them for that. So when I talk about homemaking and homekeeping, let me show you the definition again, just in case some people missed it. So I'm going to share my screen and share my screen and share the screen and pick this and pick this and share. So here was a definition that talked about, homemaking and housewife and all that kind of thing. And it talks about a housewife, again, being a married woman whose main occupation is caring for the home. And homemaker is a noun chiefly used in North America, but it could be anybody, but especially a woman who's managing a home. Now I'm going to stop sharing. Stop. Come back over here. And just keep in mind that from my philosophy, homemaking is it's the therapeutic use of self to create a home. It's the things you do that make that home cozy and comfortable. It was that treat that I had on the table that the kids saw when they came up the walk and peered through the window. It's the placemats and the napkins that I put on the table. So when I talk about homemaking and the art of homemaking, that's the use of self. For the way you decorate your home, for the way if you put flowers on the table or not, if you have flowers growing in the front yard or not, if you just have tea in the morning or whatever it is that you do, that is making and creating a home. You're putting your touch on that space to create a home for you, yourself, or for you and a partner, or for you and your family. Now, homekeeping is the managing of that home. So what is involved in homekeeping? Well, not only cleaning, because of course the art of homemaking has to do with cooking and creating nutritious and healthy meals and all that kind of thing. But the science of homemaking that is involved in the homekeeping has to do with managing the home, getting the bills paid, making sure that the house is clean, and then as far as making sure that the fire alarm the smoke detector is changed twice a year, or that the batteries are checked twice a year, or something like that. Making sure that the taxes get paid. And then also it includes involving whether or not you have to shovel snow or those things that involve in keeping the home. That's homekeeping. Cleaning. And what is the science of homemaking and homekeeping? Well, the science is not putting ammonia and bleach in the washer together because it creates a deadly gas. It's when you are making a dish and you need to have some sour cream and you don't have any sour cream. So you get some vinegar and you create some sour milk to use in place of this or that. Or you need an egg. And so you find, well, what can I replace an egg with? That's the science of homemaking. So all of that is involved as well. Did I answer your question or did I go off on a tangent too much? Let me know. Let me know, say love. Let me know. So Blue Skies is asking Dalizu how old her children are and whether or not they are at an age where they can start doing chores. Because I think one of the questions might have been, how soon can you get your kids involved in homemaking? And I would love to learn how to encourage them early. Yes, if they're old enough to pick up a plate and carry it across the room, then they're old enough to start helping with some things. So let's say after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner, they help clear the table. Like my little granddaughters, when they're here, my grandkids, they know when the meal is over, everybody helps with the after dinner routine. Not just grandma, but everybody helps clean up. Everybody can pick up their own plate and scrape the leftovers in the trash can and take it over and put it in the sink if that's where you want them to put it. I don't want them putting it in the dishwasher because I'm kind of particular about the way I like to load it. But you can bring it over and you can set it in the sink, or you can stack it on the counter where I'm stacking the rest of them. While I'm doing that, somebody else can be wiping the table. And a 3-year-old can even begin to wipe a little bit on the table. Now, they won't be doing a great job, but you're beginning to teach them what's expected. And then, you make the task suitable for the age and motor skills of the child. So once they're 3 years old, they can start helping do little things. Let's say you're doing laundry and they're sitting there playing with you. Well, maybe they can pick out all the socks and put all the socks in a pile. And then the two of you can match them up, that kind of thing. Or maybe they can fold a washcloth in half or something like that. Again, it won't be pretty, but the idea is that you're beginning to teach them how to do certain things. So yes, at 3 years old, you can start teaching them to do some things. Again, you want to make it age appropriate and suitable for their motor skills. Keep it in mind, they don't have the same dexterity that we as adults do, and they also can't reach as high for certain things. So you're being congratulated because you're able to stay home. And yes, there are so many women today who would love to be able to take advantage of that if they could, but it's not an option. So I am so glad that that option is available for you, and make the best of it. The other thing that I think you'll want to do, because I remember when I was home, sometimes you can get a little lonely because I was home, but all my friends and everybody else was at work. So there wasn't anybody that I could call during the day and talk to. So that sometimes was an issue. Now, during the days of COVID, a lot of people are home. Hang on a second. A lot of people are home now. So many people have lost their jobs because of that. So we've got a lot of unintentional housewives and stay-at-home moms right now, but they are really enjoying the experience. So if you've got some friends that are home also, maybe once a week or something like that, you guys might want to get on a little Zoom chat or do a little FaceTime and just have somebody to connect with. Because right now, like you can't really go out and do many play dates and that kind of thing. But the big thing too is, now that you're home, is you want to set up your routines right away so that you don't develop bad habits where you just get into just kind of being lazy and not doing this and not doing that. And let's say if you're pregnant or something like that, you're going to have a baby, or all of a sudden you're home now and you think, oh, I got all this time to do things. No, you don't. Because you want to have things done by a certain amount of time. I know one of the things that I always wanted, like my husband was usually home by 4 o'clock when he wasn't coaching. So I wanted everything done by 4 o'clock, because when he came in the door, I wasn't doing any more work. So it's like, if it's not done by 4 o'clock, it's not happening until tomorrow. So think about how you want things to run, and what time your hubby or your guy is coming in, and then what time do you want to be done for the day, because you want to be able to spend some time with them too in some conversation. Okay. Oh, Rachel, she said she deals with migraines, and Blue Skies deals with migraines as well. But she says that when she's doing housework, putting on my videos have helped her through it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Rachel, what I've wanted is for my videos to be motivational, inspiring, and peaceful. I believe in peaceful homemaking. I don't want a lot of rancor and, like a lot of noise. I want peaceful homemaking, so that peace not only comes through me and from me, but it also filters into the family that's there with you as well. So thank you. Thank you for saying that. But Blue Skies also struggles with and Bamsey, I am trying to get a good schedule. I don't have one yet. I'm going to try to do every other week. I'm going to try to do a live show on Thursdays, like the one we're doing today, where we talk about a topic related to homemaking. And it's because of you and Cinderella that said, look, you got to do this. And so that's why I'm here now, to try to start doing this. I'm going to try to do regular videos on Sundays and Fridays, or Sundays and Thursdays. But right now, as I'm working on my apron shop, sometimes things are a little erratic. So now, since I mentioned the apron shop, I hadn't meant to talk about it right here, but one of the things that I love, love, love is wearing aprons. And I just feel so feminine when I'm wearing aprons. And it makes me a little nostalgic because I remember my grandma used to always wear aprons, both of them, when they were doing their housework. And then my Aunt Maxine in Michigan, she would always wear aprons. And I just have such good feelings about that. And so when I'm cooking or cleaning, I just feel so girly when I have on my aprons. And I have different ones. Like, I want you guys to see this one. This is one of the ones that I'm really liking right now. It's just so girly. I just love it. And so I've decided that I'm going to open an apron shop, and I am going to sell some of my really cutesy girly aprons. So it's not ready yet, so I can't send you the link to the shop. But what I can do is give you the link to the email list. So I've got a link in the description box that if you want to be notified when my apron shop is ready to go, you want to be the first one to know, click on that link in the description box and then sign up to be on the advanced notice list for when my apron shop is ready to go. So there's that. Let's see. Why did I say that? So that's why, though, I don't have a regular schedule, is because I'm trying to get all the ducks in a row for my shop and trying to stay on top of videos. So sometimes my schedule is not what it should be, but I'm working on creating a schedule that I stick to, Vamsy. I really am. And I appreciate your pushing me to do that because I need to do that. Let's see. So, Fancy O was talking about how to get kids to help. And that is definitely true. When we were kids, it wasn't an option. It was like you ate what you were told to eat and you did what you were told to do. So if you have tasks that you want your kids to do, you just have to let them know that it is expected that they will participate in the running of the home. And no, you're not going to get an allowance just because you're washing the dishes, every other day. I wash the dishes and I'm not getting an allowance for that. We all live here. We all work together. We all run the house. However, you have to let them know that this is what the expectation is, and then supervise them to make sure that they do what you ask them to do. But again, keep things reasonable for what you have them do. And the hardest jobs you should keep for yourself. So let them do the easier jobs. Like the stove is usually the hardest task to clean. So that would be one that you would do, but they could clean the counter or help, scrape the plates and that kind of thing. So that's the thing in that regard. It's just, and you can make it fun. Maybe you could set up a chore list, and then each week the chores might rotate. Maybe they might get stars on the task or something like that. Maybe they could earn a particular treat or something like that. So if you guys get all these different things done, then on Friday, which is family movie night, you can pick, the person that gets their chores done the best can get to pick the movie or something like that. But think of, your own family. Think of things that will help, that will work for them. So, okay. So Dalutsu said that her kids are old enough, but she thinks the conflict of getting them to wash all the time, she's a softie in that sense. You know what, though? You have to teach them because you're not doing them a service when they don't learn to help out at home. Because once they become young adults and they go to college or they're out on their own, then they've got to learn. Then I cannot tell you how many young men follow some of my videos that say they have to learn these skills now because they didn't learn them at home and now they're out on their own. So you want to work through that with them. Oh, Rachel said she signed up with Marla, but it was so long ago and under a very old email. So yes, I'll tell you what, if you're signed up with Marla today, you will get at least 10 emails a day, if not more. So sign up with her, and she's got lots of good information, but I also encourage you, sign up with Fly Lady Cat and look at her videos. I think she just makes the Fly Lady system so easy to understand. So she was my favorite ones. So Deluzu said she has a roster on the fridge and said she'll put a roster on the fridge and then get them to start helping. So that's good. Get your kids to start helping you with that. Okay. Sherry says that the advice about mom guilt was helpful because most people no, don't feel guilty. You cannot feel guilty. You just have to do the best that you can do. That's all you can do is do the best that you can do. Okay. So I've just got a message that I'm supposed to address. So let me get to that in just a minute. But Sherry, don't let others make you feel guilty. Do the best you can do. Try to create a routine as best you can and do that. And then on the days that you have weekends that are free, then work through it that way. Okay. Hey, Nicholas, good to have you here. All right. So I have got a question here from Cynthia Matthew, and she says she's struggling with organizing her day. She's newly retired and feels lost. Cynthia, I hear you. I understand completely. So now I'm not sure if the message was in here somewhere and I missed it because Blue Sky sent it to me. But she said that organizing her time because she's newly retired. So this is the thing. And I've been there. When you're newly retired, you're so excited to just not have to get up and go to work every day that you need a couple of weeks to just sleep till you want to wake up and do what you want to do, which is usually nothing for the first 2 weeks. But then after 2 weeks, you have to create a schedule for yourself. Now, the beauty of that is you get to decide what that schedule is. So now let me ask you, Cynthia, is there someone in the home with you? Do you have a partner that is sharing the home with you? And so you're creating a home for the two of you? Or is it just yourself? So, but again, create a routine regardless. And so what you can start doing is that, create the laundry routine because you still got laundry to do. You could create the routine from how you're going to clean things and when. So think about, like for what I do is think about the daily swish and swipe. Start there. Think about the laundry routine. That would be number 2. Like, what days are you going to do laundry? What days are you going to, clean certain areas in the house? But create a routine. And right now, the problem is you really can't go out to do much. But there may still be some opportunities to volunteer somewhere. But I don't know if that's an option you want to take because right now we're living in the days of COVID. So there was a time when, now that you're newly retired, you could volunteer at the library, you could volunteer at the hospital. Well, right now you might be hesitant to do that. So you might consider, are there some hobbies you've been wanting to take up, but you just hadn't got to do that? Well, those are some things you can do now. And you can learn how to do different crafts on Craftsy or Masterclass, or there was another one, Skillshare, different places like that. Think about what you want to do in that regard. But the biggest thing is set up a routine for your day and go from there. So that's what you want to do, is set up a routine. And the thing about being retired and being home is that you feel like you don't have a schedule. Create a schedule for yourself, like between 7 and 3:30 or 7 and 4 o'clock. That's going to be your work day for any work you're going to do, so that after 4 o'clock, just like when you were working, your day was over and you're able to relax and enjoy yourself at home. But your housework, you're going to do between 7 and 4. If you're used to getting up at 7, go ahead and get up at 7. And then get yourself, start doing an exercise routine at home. I do yoga with Adrienne or yoga with Cassandra. I find it on my iPad and I just do it in the living room. And then I start my day from there. So just set up a routine for yourself. That's the beauty of it. You get to decide what it is. So I hope that was helpful. And the thing about being retired, you have to have a purpose. You have to feel like you have a purpose. And when you first leave your job, which is so much of our identity, you feel like, well, who am I? I was that job for so long. So who am I? What do I do now? What's my new identity? That's the thing. It's like you have to form an identity for the new you, for the new where you are right now. So that's what you have to do. One of the things that I decided to do was to start a YouTube channel. And I wanted to share the knowledge that I have regarding homemaking with the young homemakers and even seasoned homemakers that may not know some of the things that I know. And I learned things from other people too. So those are the things that you want to think about doing. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if it was not. And I'm not sure where that was. Okay, let me back up here. So Dalutu says in her culture, getting help for housework is frowned upon. One is expected to keep up, but she does get help with the laundry. Well, Dalutu, I can't speak to your culture, but I can say you are in charge of your home. And you can decide that in this house, we all work together. And I expect you guys to help me because I'm teaching you the role so that when one day you're in your own home, you know how to do these things. And you can kind of phrase it that way. But I'm glad you do get help with the laundry. Michelle from My Everyday Wife Life said she started wearing aprons from watching me. I appreciate that. So thank you. So thank you. I am glad that you did. I'm hoping that you will sign up on my apron list and then so that once I launch my shop, you can pick one up. So Shaniqua Denise says she needs that apron ASAP. I just love aprons. I have so many of them and they're so fun to wear. And I find myself saying, okay, so what apron am I going to wear today? Which color am I going to wear? What am I going to put on? That kind of thing. So Wendy says that my videos are peaceful and motivating. The first one she saw was the brining bag for Thanksgiving prep. And her Thanksgiving dinner was perfect. Oh, thank you, Wendy. I am glad that your dinner was perfect. I did that Thanksgiving Cook With Me marathon and people really enjoyed that. It was like a 40-minute video and I just cooked, just like bam, 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 bam. I just cooked nonstop and I kind of played music and I didn't talk at all. And one of my sisters, not the one that's on today, but one of my other sisters she says, well, I liked the video, but I thought you were going to narrate it and tell us everything you were doing while you were doing it like you usually do. And I'm like, well, no. For that video, I just wanted to be peaceful and relaxing and just cook with me so that people can kind of have that on and cook while they're doing their thing. But I think I will retool that video where I actually do kind of talk about what I'm doing when in the video because some people said they needed that. So I'll tweak it for that group. But Wendy, I'm so glad you find them peaceful and motivating because I do believe in peaceful homemaking. And if you would love an apron, put your name, sign up on that list so that when I'm ready, I can send you guys an email. So Jen wants to be notified. Michelle, it's never too late to start. So, hey, let's see. Oh, Shaniqua Denise said she started wearing aprons after watching me. Well, I'm glad. And here's the reason why you wear aprons, because they save your clothes from getting messy. That's the whole point of wearing an apron is so that you don't get spatters and spills all over your good clothing. And then, what I remember too? I remember seeing my grandmother here. Let me get this off for a second. Remember seeing like my grandmother's doing like this. So also that's another thing that people would use aprons to wipe their hands on depending upon what they were doing. So there's that. Okay, Wendy. Oh, and speaking of, I was wiping my hands on something, but let me also, guys, share you something else with you regarding homemaking. On one of the last shows I did, one of them asked a question about what was my favorite dish towel. And I really didn't have like a favorite dish towel, but I'm going to order some other things. But here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. And that is because I have about, I have a set of dish towels that are bar mop towels that I bought at Target. They're just simple white towels. I have about 3 dozen of them. Well, not yeah, about maybe 2 dozen of them. I've picked a few. And then about 2 dozen dishcloths that match them, just white, plain old little bar mop cloths. And one of the things that I've learned to do with the Fly Lady cleaning system is I put out a clean dish towel and then clean dishcloth every night. So when I'm doing my after dinner cleanup and I set the dishwasher to run, everything is all done in the kitchen, I take the dirty dish towels and dirty dishcloth from that day and I put them in a bucket in the laundry area. Well, I put them in the bucket to dry. And then I put out a fresh one for the next day. So when I come down in the morning, I've got a clean dish towel and a clean dishcloth. Depending upon what I'm doing in the kitchen, I might get out 3, 4, or 5 dishcloths during, not dishcloths, dish towels during the day. And if the hubby's in the kitchen, I might get out several just because of, I'm not sure what he was always doing with them. A couple of times I saw him today. He had the dishcloth and he was wiping down the counter after he had cleaned up a skillet or something. And I was just like, okay. And I just took that and put it in the dirty, in the dirty bucket and got out a fresh one. But they're very inexpensive. Very inexpensive. So if it does get messy with a lot of dark grease or something on it like that, and I can't get that out when I wash it, I'll just pitch it, or I'll put it in the garage pile for rags that he can use outside. But have yourself a nice little stash of dishcloths and dish towels that are inexpensive. Now I've got some nice dishcloths that are some of those striped ones that the Grove Collaborative has. They're beautiful. And I get those out when I have women over and we're in the kitchen and we're washing dishes together. I'll get those out. But I don't leave those out all the time because if he gets a hold of them, sometimes what he does with a dishcloth or a dish towel is not what I would approve of. And rather than fuss over something as mundane as a dishcloth, I've learned to just keep those put away and then just kind of educate him on, okay, these are dishcloths and you don't wipe the back of a dirty skillet with it, that kind of thing. But it's not the end of the world if it happens. So I wanted to make sure that I told you guys about that little tip. Okay. So, love, tell me, what is your name? We typically know each other's names on this channel when I'm doing a live stream. So tell me your name. But you said that you have no mom friends. Well, you might need to find some because you're going to need someone to talk to during the day. Or if you got a sister or cousin, someone that's maybe they're in another state, but someone that you can chat with. And so Blue Skies recently started wearing them because she makes a mess when she cooks. And so Janine Bunt says her stepmom didn't believe in getting the kids to help. So your stepmom didn't believe in getting the kids to help. So are you saying you didn't learn how to do things when you were home? Or because your stepmom didn't believe in that, you don't have your kids help? That's the question. So let me know that. Yeah, Dee, that's the thing. You can find yourself when you have the apron out and you see the example of other women wearing them, then you find yourself wearing them more. I find that if I'm in the kitchen and let's say I've just come in from somewhere and I don't have an apron on because I don't know what I've been doing, and I go over to the sink because I need to scrub something out. The minute I lean up against it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my shirt wet, and I'll go in immediately and put on an apron, because they really help me to protect my clothing, which is the purpose of an apron, was to help them protect their clothing. And if you think way back in the day, people didn't have as many clothes as we have today. So they couldn't wash, and they didn't have like washers and dryers and things like most of us have today. So they had to keep their clothing protected. So that's why they wore aprons for the most part. So let's see. Take Me to Tammy's House is here. Hello. And let's see, Beach Lady is here. Hello. I'm so glad you're here, Beach Lady. If you guys have questions about homemaking, drop them in the chat. Let me know. Okay, let's see. Tracy Quartermain. Oh, Libby. Hi, Libby. Uh, Tracy Quartermain had a question, but I'm trying to find it. Oh, aprons for men. Tracy, are you asking, will I have aprons for men? Um, Probably not in the first collection. I will add them on the second round, but on my first round, I don't think I'm going to have any for men, but let me revisit that. But I don't think I'm going to have any for men in the first collection. The second collection, I probably will, but the first collection, I probably won't. Uh, So Cynthia says that the part of finding her new identity touched on her problem. Yes, Cynthia, that's the thing. And I remember when I first retired and I had already packed up my office, that kind of thing. And I was going to stop in the workroom for something. And everybody was sitting in there talking. And I thought, it was like they didn't really say much, when I went in and out. And I thought, well, dang, am I invisible already? And today is the day that I'm leaving, so and I felt a little odd because I'm like, okay, already I'm not part of that group anymore. So that's part of being a retiree, though. You have to form a new identity. So keep it in mind that your work was what you did. It's not who you are. Like for myself, I was a nurse educator. I taught nursing students how to be nurses. And my last role was a community health nurse. And I taught, we had student nurses out in the community where where we had student nurses out in the community where we taught them different things. So I'm not teaching now with the students, but sometimes I'm carrying that teaching over here on my YouTube channel. So there is a question and I must have missed it, but Libby says, any tips for cleaning inside the glass? Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you, Blue Skies. I missed it. Any tips for cleaning the inside glass portion of the oven? Oh, baking soda mixtures didn't work. Oven off didn't work. All-purpose cleaner didn't work. Nothing works. Well, Libby, I was going to say baking soda is what I use to clean the inside of my glass window. That's what I use, and use that little scraper that you get for your cooktop. That's what I use, and that's what worked for me. If that didn't work, I don't know. All-purpose cleaners definitely don't work on that. And I don't know if I want to put an all-purpose cleaner in there. But the baking soda, what you do is you got to give it time to do the work. So I would open the oven door and then put the baking soda paste, make a paste out of baking soda and spread it there on that glass and let it sit there overnight. And then scrub it off the next day. But you definitely need to let it sit for at least 8 hours and then give it a good scrubbing. And that should help get some of it off. The question is, how long has it been on there? Because if it's been on there a long time and it's baked on, that could be a problem trying to get it off then. So that could be the problem there. And then as far as trying to take the door apart to get inside the glass, you don't want to even try that. I had some oil or something leak down in between the door. And when I had the Sears man come out to service the oven, I had him take the door apart so that I could get in there and clean. But he said, you're not supposed to be trying to take that apart to clean that out. So don't try that. Even though you'll find a YouTube video that'll tell you how to take the door apart, they don't recommend you do that. That's not something we should be doing at home. Like, don't try this at home. But I cleaned my oven window by making a paste out of the baking soda and water, letting it sit on there, and then giving it a good scrub. But you have to let it sit for a long period of time, anywhere from 8 hours to overnight. So Tracy said, easy off blue, mild spray cleaner. You know, I can't vouch for that, Tracy. If Tracy says it works for her, maybe or maybe for him rather, maybe it does. But I have not tried, I don't like trying cleaners like that inside the oven. I only use like vinegar and water or baking soda, that kind of thing inside the oven because I don't want any kind of chemical reactions to happen. So Janine said she was already grown when her sisters were born and her dad taught her what she knows. Okay. So hopefully though you're teaching your kids how to help, that kind of thing. Because yeah, when they get out of the house, they're going to need to know those things. What about Barkeeper's Friend for inside the oven glass? You could try Barkeeper's Friend. I've used that for other things. I've not used it there, but you could there. But you got to make sure you get that completely washed off. I'm not sure what's in Barkeeper's Friend, but the other things when you're cleaning your oven door, make sure that you pad that little gasket that's around that little gasket or kind of rubbery like thing that's around the door. Pad that with towel so that you don't get that wet. You are encouraged not to get that wet so that as you do your scrubbing and whatever, you don't damage that gasket by getting it wet and then it doesn't work properly. But if you do try Barkeeper's Friend, when you put it on, make a little paste, let it sit, and you're going to need to let it sit for several hours and then give it a good scrape and see what happens. Now, if you're using something like Barkeeper's Friend, you got to make sure if you've got little ones that they're not able to get into the kitchen because, of course, you don't want them to get their little fingers into that kind of thing. So be cautious if you have little ones or pets. Dawn Power Wash. So Michelle says Dawn Power Wash works, but let me write that down and we'll see. I'll write that down. Okay. Okay. Vamsy, this live should be over. Should have been over a long time ago. I did not intend to be on here this long. I only meant to talk for about 30 minutes, and you guys are going to laugh because I have a set of notes here that I had planned and a set of questions that I had planned to talk about. I didn't think I would get very many people on and they would ask very many questions, but I got quite a few. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So Libby says maybe she waited too long. The rest of the inside the oven is spotless. So yeah, try the baking soda paste overnight. And see if that helps. Vamsi wants to know, when do I vacuum? I vacuum typically on Mondays when I do my weekly home blessing, or if I'm doing my zone cleaning and I'm doing the living room or the bedroom, then I'll vacuum at those times. Or if I'm cleaning the family room. And then sometimes, depending upon what's going on in the house, I might need to vacuum more. Now, as far as my kitchen and my entryway, I have to sweep that or vacuum that with my Dyson sweeper every day because it just tracks in so much dirt. We've got a tile floor, and when I sweep it or vacuum it, it's amazing how much dirt is tracked in. So I do that area every day. But as far as like a major vacuuming of the living room and the dining room, I only do that once a week. So Jenny Smith suggested a paste of cream of tartar with warm water for the oven glass door. It works great on pots and pans too. And yeah, I keep my pots and pans clean with steel wool and either baking soda. I make a baking soda paste and I scrub them with that. But yeah, that's a good idea to try cream of tartar on that. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Bonami, Michelle. Bonami has no harsh chemicals in it. I've got Bonami downstairs under my cabinet too. I ordered it in my Grove Collaborative order. So LaShonda Williams, she said she's glad she caught me live. Well, ladies, I think we've been on certainly longer than I intended. But one of the things, though, that I do want to let everyone know is that I am going to be starting my own little apron shop. I just can't wait till it's all done. And then I'll let you guys know about it. And so if you're interested in being notified when the shop goes live, I've got a link in the description box where you can sign up. And it's just to be informed when it goes live. You're not signing up to buy anything or anything like that. But so I'm just glad. And before I go, is there anything else? One more question. I can take one more question and then I'm going to have to run. And let me just check my list about what I wanted to ask you guys about or tell you guys about. Oh, I did have one other question and I should answer it. And my other question was from Blue Skies. And her question was, how do you manage clutter when you have health issues? And you manage clutter when you have health issues by creating a routine every day. So you guys have heard me say the word over and over again: routine, routine, routine. Routines are the key. And it's the thing I wish I had known when I was a young homemaker. Obviously, I'm not young now, but I used to be. So if you have a routine of laundry and a routine of cleaning and a thing like that, then the days that you don't feel well, you just don't do anything. And then when you're feeling better, you get back on track. So now if you've got a clutter problem right now that you need to address, then you would approach it like a project. So let's say this office. So let's say I needed to clean this office and it's a hot mess and I've got clutter everywhere. Let's say that was my project. So when I'm doing a project, I don't do zone cleaning because you're working on the project. And you would work on that project for 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week, just 4 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I don't work on the project on my free day. And then for those 30 minutes, let's say I say, okay, well, let's say my desk right here is a hot mess and it's littered with paper and books and stuff. So then today, the task would be clean off the desk right here. Just this piece here that I could manage in 30 minutes. Throw away the trash, the little memories, as my husband calls them, the little notes and things like that you had written down from other stuff. Get rid of the trash. If there's some books here that need to be put away, I'd get them put on the shelf or get them put elsewhere, put everywhere they need to go. And if there are things I want to donate off of the desk, then I would put them in the donate box. And then I'm done for the day. And then on Tuesday is my free day, so I'm not worried about the office. But on Wednesday, I have to, work 30 minutes in here again. So then maybe I would work on this part of the desk for that 30 minutes and do what needs to be done here. Again, give away, put away, throw away for those 30 minutes. And then I'm done. And so now maybe I've got things on the futon over here that it's stacked full of clothes or something, and I need to work on that. Maybe I can do that in 30 minutes. Maybe it might take me 60 minutes. So that means I would do half of it one day, the other half another day. But once my 4 days are done, I'm done. Then if there's something in a corner that I needed to work on, then I would work on it there like that. So if you've got a problem with clutter, because you cannot organize clutter, you got to get rid of the clutter before you can get to the cleaning. So address the clutter first. And if you've got health issues, you pick the four tasks, the 4 pieces of the project you want to work on for the day. And then on the day that you're up to it, you do that 30 minutes. The next day, you do the next 30 minutes. And then if there's a day you can't get out of bed, well, you don't get out of bed. And then the next day, you start over. So there's no behind. You just start over. Oh, yes. LaShonda says, make sure to like this video. Please do. Please like the video. Please sign up for my apron interest list. And Michelle agrees. She says, declutter daily, bit by bit, one drawer at a time, one closet at a time, one shelf at a time. And Michelle said she has a chronic illness, and that's what she does when she's having a bad day, just one step at a time. Tracy says all his pots and pans have clean bottoms. I'm with you, Tracy. I do not like a nasty bottom pan. I got to scrub it off with steel wool or whatever. No, I didn't disable comments. They're there. I'm still getting comments. And then Jenny said she's looking forward to watching Sunday's minimalism game with Michelle and Dee and all the ladies that she has participating. Well, all right. Well, ladies, I think it has been, oh, you can't see me there. I think we've been on long enough. Certainly we've been on longer than I intended, but I do have a question for you for the question of the day, and I don't even see where it, but I guess my question for you is, what is your challenge as a homemaker? Because all of you are homemakers. Oops, excuse me. Whether you're a stay-at-home homemaker or you're working outside the home, you are all homemakers because you're creating a home for either yourself or for your family or for you and your boo. You are all homemakers. So what is your homemaking challenge? Tell me in the chat box or in the comment section below. And in the meantime, you guys can check out my latest video on when I was organizing and cleaning out my kitchen cabinet, where I was decluttering my pantry with my glasses and mugs, or my food pantry. Check one of those videos out, and I'll see you guys next time. All right. So Blue Skies, I want to thank you for helping me manage the questions because some of them I missed. And see you guys later. Bye.